Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome. It's Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. He's doing the pointing. Right now, I'm doing the talking. Do me a solid thumbs up button, subscribe button, notifications button, bing, bing, bing. Click them all like it's a game of Galaga. We'll try to go through some portal discussion and rumors and stories and headlines like it's a little bit of a game of Galaga. Do us a solid, jump into the Specs chat, join the conversation, send us some super chats. But by all means, help us be interactive. Mr. Hastings, we are now, I think, T-minus 35 hours until the portal is officially shut. I believe it happens tomorrow at midnight East Coast time. So it'll be a little bit before 11 o'clock local time for us. The anticipation is that is when names have to be – schools have to, I guess, have been notified that – players intend to portal. We could still do a wonky little thing where schools are like, well, we're not going to put your name in until the full 48 hours has gone by. I think what we're probably going to see, though, is more names continue to hit the portal officially today, a la Jacob Seaton, the offensive lineman, or Jordan Seaton, the offensive lineman from Colorado, who now is officially in the portal. I think what we'll probably see is that there's a group of guys having learned from what happened with Isaac Brown at Louisville, that'll probably have timed their situations so that their announcements either come out officially today or tomorrow so that they can take visits going into the weekend so that there's still a chance that they could do a midterm transition from one school to the other. There might still be some names on Monday and Tuesday that get announced. We'll see. I think a lot of those guys might end up being summer guys, so they finish the spring semester at the school they're at, but we're really at the finish line, Chad. Whatever is about to be of the Texas offensive line for 2026, I think we're going to have a pretty good idea of what that is, certainly by Monday, but even by the end of today.
Yeah, I mean, we're here at day 14. So tomorrow, like you said, last day. Let's go step by step here. You mentioned Seaton officially in the portal. We'll talk about him. We'll also talk about at least another name that I know may be of interest to Texas. But let me ask you, Catch, overnight, Texas did get an offensive lineman to add to the portal class. It's now two guys, in addition to the Oregon State guy Sikorsky, Jonte Newman from A&M. So you like to talk about the movie Life and taking somebody's cornbread. What did Texas just take from A&M?
A crumb. He's just a guy.
Okay.
He's a guy that in 2 or 3 years might be valuable, but we're 2 or 3 years away from seeing that. He played 7 snaps this year as a true freshman against Samford. It's the only game that he played in. Even those 7 snaps weren't the kind of 7 snaps that would make you go, oh, well, yeah, you figured he would kick some Samford butt, but it wasn't even really like that. That's one for, I think, the future. And, you know, I think more that's about getting bodies on campus and replacing some guys that maybe you've lost. I don't think he's a guy that I would anticipate seeing on the field this season.
Gotcha. But Sikorsky's a guy that can help in 26.
Yeah, I think as of today, he would be a guy that would probably, if everything froze at this exact moment and nobody else was brought in, I think Sikorsky's a guy that would probably be looking at a starting job inside at one of the guard positions as things stand. I think there's just kind of a full-time openness to, if Texas decides to move Brandon Baker inside, that I've not heard that there's a pause button on that idea, which is why we've seen them connected with a guy like Seaton. It's why I think there's a guy that entered the portal from Wake Forest in the last hour by the name of Melvin Siani, a starter for them, a guy with multiple years of eligibility left. He checks a lot of boxes. I think he's a guy that Texas could have an interest in. I think depending on how the Seaton thing goes, they have a guy on campus right now, Jackson State offensive tackle Mason Barton is on campus visiting. I think we're seeing a lot of balls being juggled in the air at once, Chad. You've got Seaton, who's priority number one. I think there are a couple of guys that they will hope and anticipate enter the portal at these last hours Sione, again, I think would be one, or Siani would be one to keep an eye on. But, and by the way, Siani has a do not disturb sign on his portal entry, whereas Seton is like, everybody can call me. I'm taking all calls. The Seton thing is really complicated, I think, because they think they have the best left tackle in America next year in Trevor Goosby. They just locked Trevor Goosby up to a deal for 2026. I think there's a feeling behind closed doors that if Trevor Goosby wanted to extort Texas, no players ever had, other than maybe Arch Manning, no players ever had more leverage in pay me now than Trevor Goosby coming back on this offensive line with all that needs to be replaced. They could not afford to not have Trevor Goosby in the fold. In a world where Trevor Goosby just decides, I'm going to put my name into the portal and see what my market value looks like, I think there's a real sense that that guy would have cost way more than even what Seton is going to pull in. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how this will. It's not as simple as, well, we recruited in Seton. We've got the best left tackle in the portal, so we'll put him there and arrange everything based on that. I think there is a little bit of like, you're not really going to go to Trevor Goosby after he gave the Longhorns a little bit of a hometown discount to come back and play in 2026 and not press the red button just for giggles. Are you really going to go to that guy and say, we're moving you to another position because we think a guy who's not as good as you, that's the only way we can get him in? I think that I fully expect Seton to visit Texas. Texas is 1,000% in the middle of all of this.
Who else is in on him? Who else is on the list?
LSU, Oregon. I mean, I think those will be the school. I think Colorado keeping Seton isn't something that can completely be discounted.
Other than Colorado, is there anybody with a blinking light need at left tackle?
I mean, they all do. Everybody. The ones, and I don't even know if it's necessarily left tackle.
I'm saying we know Texas doesn't. Does anybody else have like a Goosby situation, or is there somebody else that has like a gaping hole?
The anticipation is that he would be going at left tackle everywhere else. Okay. So the Texas situation is, now look, Ryan Wingo stepped up and was like helping lead the Cam Coleman recruitment. So I don't want to speak for anybody on anything. I'm just saying these things are more complicated. Like, I don't know. I'm curious. I think Texas is prepared to pay Seton a lot of money, but they will know, like, I'm curious to see how all of this unfolds, because one of the things when they were recruiting an edge position, right, when they went after the kid from Florida, the thought process wasn't, well, in order to get this kid, we'll ask Colin Simmons to move positions. Texas only has 2 first-team All-SEC players returning to its team from a year ago. I think Goosby may be the only returning offensive lineman in the entire conference in the SEC that was first-team All-SEC that's expected to return next season. He's the anchor. And so I'm just curious how all of the puzzle pieces fit together. I can see a world where it doesn't quite work for the Seton kid, where it would maybe work better for a guy like Siani if you could bring in a guy with some starting level guard experience with that guy, and now you're combining them with the pieces that you already have. You can see the makings now of a really good offensive line. They've got to sustain injuries. They probably would have to come back and do some of this again next year because these are short-term fixes in a lot of cases. Although the thing I saw with Siani earlier today is that he's got multiple years of eligibility remaining. I think this was his redshirt sophomore season. So while he would be draft eligible in theory next year, I don't think he's thought of as, oh yeah, no, that guy's in the 2027 NFL draft. But I think he's a guy that's got that kind of an upside. So, but they will have to replace Connor Robertson next year. They will have to replace potentially both of their tackles next year. And I think that there's a little bit of just got to do what you got to do in the immediate future to get by. I do think, though, that Texas expects, I think by the time they get, I don't know, Monday, that all of the offensive line puzzle that matters the most, I think, will have been revealed at that point. I think we'll know what Seaton's going to do. I think we're going to know what probably this kid from Wake Forest, I think we'll just know. I think it will all make a little more sense. And then I think what you'll see Texas continue to do, Chad, is there a Jonte Newman in the program that we don't need to put any pressure on? One of the things that Texas has got to find a way to start convincing kids is, look, come to Texas, be a developmental guy. We're not going to put any pressure on you, right? You're going to get 3 years to develop, but you're not going to get a penny while you do. And if you accelerate your growth and you are Trevor Gooseby, hey, the world's your oyster. But if, like most mortals, it takes you 2 or 3 seasons to acclimate yourself, then you need to know kind of where you sit in the hierarchy of the program. I think one of the things that's happening to Texas and Georgia and Ohio State and Oregon and a number of schools is the underbelly of the guys they're trying to develop come with rankings and expectations from internally from those guys, Chad, that 3 years, that makes me a bum. I should be going to the NFL in 3 years. They've got to start finding, and it kind of remains to be seen, who are the guys with a recruiting profile that fits that? Because I think that will be the sweet spot, even on a weekend like Saturday when Texas has a junior day in a couple of days. I think almost finding in December when we're trying to fill out the recruiting class. And I think we is Texas and Georgia and Ohio State and all of these schools. We've got to get guys that can develop and become players that we can use, but we've also got to get guys that aren't leaving after 12 months because they're not on the field. We could have told we could have told them that when they were being recruited. Hey, man, you're probably not playing by the time we get to January of 2026. You're not a factor yet on the depth chart. If that's a problem, don't come here. Texas and Georgia and Oregon and some of these schools have had to learn the hard way during this particular portal cycle with all of the money that's available. You've got guys like Nick Brooks who weren't even good last year that are like, my value might be better than nothing. And I think Texas and Georgia's and the Ohio States are having to tell kids, go find out. If you find out that it really is nothing, and you want to come back, we can have that conversation. But if you think you're a $500,000 player and you're not in our too deep, then it probably is a good idea for you to go try to find that $500,000 somewhere.
Google Scholar, I see the super chat. It is off topic. We'll get there, but we got to talk about this offensive line stuff first. But I do see it. Promise you, we will get there. Jump in with your own super chats today. A lot of good offensive line discussion. Let's start thanking some of our great partners around here. We'll start with AV Consultations, and then we'll get right back to this offensive line discussion. A really good chat about Gooseby and Seaton and where this thing goes. Up next.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been providing custom electronic systems for Central Texas for more than 36 years. And
Old man, I think they all know who you are and what your company does. This is Camilla McKay. The old man believes in big fun and big ideas. He can make dreams come true, so why not dream big? I've been up in Boston, but I know the old man and all his friends and fellow radio heads have been spreading the holiday spirit here in Texas. Why should we stop there? Keep spreading the good feelings all over. Audiovisual Consultations carries all major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And you don't have to leave your house. Just like Santa, they deliver the gifts to you.
yeah, I like that, kid. Throw a party, hang out with your friends, catch a concert.
That's all fun and good, but can we get back to the business? You can give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit our website at avconsultations.com for some cool electronics.
Oh, now you're forgetting something.
And as always, hug your kids. We only pretend to be annoyed. Watch some games with your friends and make love to whoever the hell you want.
All right, Ketch, let's go to this one. Paul may be just dreaming, but I think a lot of Texas fans want this to work. Gooseby has already said he's willing to move to right tackle to make room for Seaton. Are you hearing anything like that right now, Ketch?
I have not heard that it's as crystal clear as that. And
Okay.
if I've heard anything, it's that there's a little bit of like, we need to make sure that we pay Trevor Gooseby the efficient amount of respect and
Yeah.
respect, I guess. Like I said, it may happen. Look, I expect Seaton's going to visit. He is going to visit. One of the first things I reported this morning is he is expected to visit. Whether that happens on Friday or Saturday kind of remains to be seen. It's just not as easy as this is not Cam Coleman. It's just not. It is a different situation, and how they navigate it will be. I'm not poo-pooing on the idea that Seaton could end up at Texas. There is a real desire to make that happen. I just think it's more complicated than anywhere else. That's probably of all the other schools that are recruiting him. And there's no way. And look, I'll just say this: they should not move Trevor Goosby to right tackle to accommodate this dude. He's not better than Trevor Goosby. I'm sorry. You don't move your best players to other positions to keep inferior players at more difficult positions, because it makes sense from how do we get our best. Sometimes your best five is letting your best player be at the position he's the best player at. And
that's why, to me, Catch, the argument is about Seaton. It's about Seaton's choice. Do you want to be a left tackle, or do you want to be on the best offensive line possible with that guy as your quarterback? That's the decision Seaton is making.
It's just not cut and dry. But I know I have not, look, I was on the show yesterday. I left the show because I had to take a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
In that phone call, there were no indications that the runway was so clear that the Goosby stuff was taken care of, and there's just nothing to worry about. And I also I don't think it ever turned into a bidding war for Cam Coleman. I don't know that Texas has the stomach for a bidding war. I don't know. They might, but I'm telling you, it is a little trickier. Because I don't know. I don't know how you would justify giving Seaton more money than Goosby. He's not a better player than Goosby.
Yeah.
And if I'm Goosby, and it's like, wait a minute, 5 minutes ago, I was trying to determine whether or not I should go pro and become a first-round draft pick,
right?
Or do I come back for another year of development? I'm coming back for a year of development. And now you're telling me I'm going to a less valuable position to accommodate somebody who's going to make more money than me? I'm just telling you guys.
It makes no sense. Let's go to the other idea for Nate. Is Seaton a better tackle than Baker if you move him to right?
Yeah. I saw a stat yesterday, Seaton's really good. It is not an insult to say that Jordan Seaton is not better than Trevor Goosby, a guy that I've said I think will eventually be drafted higher than Kelvin Banks was. So, I think you're talking about probably the best 5 tackles in college football. But I just don't think anybody thinks that anybody is better than Goosby.
Okay. Do you also agree with the notion that Baker projects as a guard at the next level?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. And I think that may be one of the reasons why we're not seeing a lot of pushback on that as well. One of the things that keeps happening is that Texas is playing footsie with tackles. We saw it with the Sprague kid from Michigan. All of that was somewhat conditioned around they're really happy with Brandon Baker, but I think they feel like he's a piece on the chessboard that can be moved in a lot of different directions and not just one. And so that versatility is actually really good for Texas, because they're at a spot right now where if Baker comes back and is a tackle, you can make a case that the best tackle tandem in the SEC are those two guys. In large part because Goosby is so good that you get to anchor your left tackle as, well, we have the best guy in the conference. And then your other guy's pretty good. Brandon Baker had a solid year. I think by the end of the year, if you had told Texas 2 years ago, this is the Brandon Baker that you're going to get, a 12-game starter, and by the end of his sophomore season, you're really not going to be complaining about him a whole lot. Yeah, an occasional penalty, an occasional he got beat by a guy, but he won't be the thing that Texas fans are pointing at and wondering why that's holding them back from winning a championship. And that's kind of what happened. But I do get a sense that there's more of a understanding that move is easier than the Goosby move. And look, maybe Trevor Goosby did tell Texas that all of that is fine. He's cool with It's not how it was conveyed to me. And the person that I communicated with, I think, is optimistic about Texas. I mean, again, Seton's coming in. They're going to get a visit. How they needle that thread is slightly more complicated than just on the surface of, does Texas need badass offensive linemen? Yep. Do they have the money to pay this guy? Yep. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get this thing over with. And it's like, well, maybe. And I think that's kind of where we are. I would say, I think the thing that I would feel good about today if I'm Texas is I don't think by Monday the situation on the offensive line is going to be dire at all. And isn't that ultimately what we're talking about? Because today it feels dire.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they get Seton or not, I think on Monday we'll be having a conversation about, hey, that offensive line for Texas looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
we'll see what happens beyond that. But I think they'll feel really good about the direction the first 5 or 6 are going in.
Just to double check, Catch, you mentioned Melvin Ciani, the guy that was at Wake, is in the portal. You mentioned Mason Barton from Jackson State, who I think you said is visiting Texas today. Is that accurate?
Correct. That is reported about on Texas football. I have no reason to believe that that's not true. I just don't think – I think he's a little bit Jonte Newman-ish.
I was going to ask if both of those guys can help in 26 or if one of those is a let them develop.
I don't think either of them helps in 2026. To give you an idea.
Oh, they're both developed guys. Okay.
Look, Mason Barton played a lot for Jackson State this year, but in his last game against Prairie View A&M, he dropped a 49.6 on PFF.
Oh, geez.
He had a 37.2 game against Grambling earlier in the year, as opposed to the guy that we were talking about, the Ciani guy from Wake Forest, who's, I mean, he looks like the profile of a guy that you would say, oh, multi-year player, successful starter, great in pass protection. You start checking boxes, Power 4 conference, you start doing those things. Barton doesn't tick any of those boxes. He's not a Power 4 conference guy. He does have some experience. He's not really a player, though, that's going to help you a lot in 2026. But that doesn't mean that guys like he might not have value to the program. But I think Mason Barton falls into the category of guys that, like, one of the things he would have to want to do is come to Texas to play football. And we're going to stow you away for a couple of years. And don't come to us next offseason asking for money unless you're a starter.
Right. But to be clear, Ciani can help next year.
Ciani, I think, is a day one walk-in starter.
Okay.
If he's a guy they end up going after. And again, I think he fits the profile. They're balancing a lot of things here. I mean, I suppose if they were to get Seton, if Seton just committed today, that probably changes the dynamics of Ciani quite a bit. I don't know. We'll have to watch how the Ciani thing unfolds. Do not contact thing. You know, we saw that with Isaac Brown, and we saw that with Isaac Brown while a lot of other running back parts were moving around. Just, it's weird how some of those things just kind of sit and linger like a bad smell in the room. Will we even hear anything specific with it? Like we saw this with the Michigan guys, that they're hard to report on sometimes. These offensive linemen, they come in. Joe Brunner, the kid that ended up at Indiana from Wisconsin, that guy just never did any interviews, and it was hard to tell. Did he visit someplace or not? The offensive lineman can be tricky unless their last name is Seton, at which point they have an agent and an agency who is promoting him, to say the least.
At the 30-minute mark, Brian Jones of CBS Sports may jump in and join us. A little championship game talk for Monday night, and we'll get Brian's thoughts on the portal, if he's got any, on this O-line stuff. We've got some super chats that are gathering as well. El Presidente, I'm coming right for your $19.99 super chat right after I remind everybody about Hijack Poker. Hijackpoker.com. This is Texas Card House, the online version. Scan that code. Put it on the phone, put it on the tablet, get going, and get that $20 bonus. You might see Jeff Ketchum at one of those virtual tables. He talked about playing the 12 o'clock game at some point during a show. That may be happening. Ketch, are you on right now at hijackpoker.com?
No, but as you started to talk about it, It sounded good.
Yeah. Thanks to Texas Card House for their sponsorship every day here at 12.
I wonder if I can still get in.
Hey, you never know.
Here's the 19. You keep talking. Do the buy or sell. I may or may not.
Here's the 1999 super chat from El Presidente. Pass on the left tackle from Colorado. Use your resources on 2 true interior linemen. You need 2 ass kickers at guards, and you need depth. Is it too late for that idea, Catch?
Well,
can they still do that in a day and a half?
I think it's about finding the best possible options that you can find, whether they're tackles or guard. If you've got a guy in Brandon Baker that you think improves you at guard, and look, to me, Brandon Baker at guard sounds fantastic. It's exactly what they didn't have this year. What are you gaining / trading off to make that move? What do the margins look like? But I think the important thing is to come away with like good players. Has that guy started before? Has he played against a top 10 opponent before? Has he played well against a top 10 opponent before? I think finding guys that can do that and then getting them together is all that matters. So, but El Presidente may end up being right that in the end, maybe Seton doesn't happen, and then that money is allocated in ways that does allow you to. Could Texas do all of this? I've yet to have anybody tell me there's a financial restriction in any way. Not even when it came to running backs.
Yeah.
When everybody was talking about Isaac Brown and Jaden Ball, people at Texas very quietly were like, we're trying to get both, right? They did. Like, right. It never made sense. It was like, there's no way they're going to get both of those guys. But at no point did it ever feel like they ever made a choice between the two. It always felt like Texas needs to get 2. Texas needs to get 2. Why can't it be those 2? If those 2 are okay with it, well, in the end, they ended up getting 2 high-level running backs, and those 2 guys were kind of okay with it. So they've had pretty grand aspirations about what they think they can accomplish. They've swung and missed on a few of these. They've swung and hit grand slams on a few of these. They are the school with Cam Coleman. Mm-hmm. And no offense to Seton, he's just not the Cam Coleman of offensive tackles. So whereas I've always felt like Texas might do anything to get Cam Coleman, I'm not convinced that I don't think they're quite as desperate, even though I think we think they're just as desperate. I think if what I've heard is right, then they've got a pretty good handle on what the next 48, 72, 96 hours will look like.
All right. We'll get back to the conversation. I see those super chats. I promise we will get to them. Also, we want to remind you, head on over to the co-op if you want to be as sharp dressed as that man right there. He's about to join us. He may or may not be wearing that stuff, but either way, go to the co-op, down on the drag, get the stuff there, or go search Real Snow Milk at universitycoop.com and you can get hooked up. Let's talk to him. Brian Jones, CBS Sports. We'll see if he's got his technical savvy going today. What's up, BJ?
I'm just Jane, boring today. No, nothing. All you need is darkness.
And Dragon Video.
Oh, I don't know, Brian. I believe in your ability to say the word motherfucker within the first 3 minutes of this discussion. I think the color's coming.
Listen, you guys got me. Apparently, a church member is fond of your hair, and he heard me last week. He heard you guys bringing me down.
Oh, here we go.
To the gutter.
Here we go.
To your yes. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, you go high. And apparently I didn't learn that lesson because I allowed y'all to bring me down to your level. So I'm going to try my darndest to see how I'm going to try my darndest to we're going to hopefully collegiate Brian, as Chad coined me, will show up today.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do love collegiate Brian. In that vein, Brian,
Fuck that shit, Chad. Fuck that. Hell no. I can't do it. No. No. I'll repent later. Sorry, Lord.
Brian, shucks and golly, Indiana and Miami look good in the semifinals. They're going to play for a national title on Monday night. I'm picking. I think I'm leaning Indiana in a dogfight. I think they're going to get it done. Where's your lean right now?
It's interesting. I've heard Miami's going to get blown out to what you have said and everything in between. I don't think we really know, but my dog has always been Indiana. I think they win this game. They don't make a ton of mistakes. I think they had the most penalties they've had in a game all season, 5 the other night versus Oregon, which is uncharacteristic. What?
No, it's just crazy that 5 is the top. Like,
oh yeah.
What a
I
clean.
thought I'd done something. I'm sorry. I'm
I'm
jaded.
just saying
I'm sensitive,
clean
Chad.
thing.
I'm sensitive. You know, people. You know me.
Hey, shucks, Brian. I'm sorry. Golly, that's my bad.
Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted with Chad laughing at me subliminally.
Very rudely.
No mistakes, so you can't bank on that. They don't turn the rock over. And if you make mistakes, what was it, 21 points off of the 3 turnovers by Oregon? Of course, the first play of the game, Dante Moore throws a pick 6. And here's the other deal. I went back and looked. The last time a team rushed for at least 100 yards versus Indiana was early November. It was that Penn State game. What was that, like November 7th or 8th, somewhere around there. That's the last time a team even sniffed out 100 yards. So Miami's been killing it on the ground with Mr. Fletcher Jr. He's been balling. So can they bring that? Can they protect, Carson Beck, who hasn't made a ton of mistakes? He's been playing flawlessly. And the same thing, with Bain and Messador, can Indiana protect crazy legs back there, Fernando Mendoza. Now, Miami only had 1 sack in that last game versus Ole Miss because Trinidad can get out of harm's way, Mr. Chambliss. But prior to that, Ohio State, A&M, 5 or 6 sacks in those ball games. So I think Indiana should win this game because they play so clean. And man, they're a machine. They and I've been saying this for a while now. They remind me of the old Alabama teams. Everybody's where they're supposed to be. They know what they're supposed to do. They don't try to do more than they're supposed to do. And if someone goes down, next man up, best case for that is Charlie Becker, what this guy's done. When they lost Surratt prior to the Penn State game, he steps up, makes big catches in there, and it has been ever since. So a complete football team.
Brian, I'm just assuming that Indiana's going to win the game. I think they're the best team. I think they keep telling us and showing us, and I'm just out of doubting them now. Let's just live in a world where they win the national championship and next year they come back to do this again. I am of the opinion that we're watching one of the truly great all-time stories, that we're going to have people come out of this and think because Indiana did it, that anybody can do it. No. And I don't think it's as simple as just do what Indiana did. For you, what will be the thing about this Indiana team moving forward that Indiana will have the biggest trouble trying to replicate this all over again? Because, Villanova beat Georgetown for the NCAA tournament championship, but then they never did it again. I wonder what to expect from Indiana once they do cross the finish line and get a championship under the belt.
Yeah, Villanova didn't do it again until much later, but they were still a quality opponent each and every year. God, I miss Big East basketball. That was fun back in the day, man. Big Monday, come on. That was like football on the hardwood. Those big boys were banging.
Remember how scared everybody was of Georgetown, Brian?
Yes.
Jimmy, all I needed to see was when John Thompson walked into a building and Lou Carnesecca with one of those ugly sweaters walked in the other side. It was just like, all right, everybody shut up, get out of the way. Brian, here we go.
I used to have a friend who was a fan of Georgetown basketball, and his parents wouldn't let him wear a shirt. Now, I'll just let you It was never explained other than like, you know,
little brothers scared of them brothers. Man.
Wait,
there's some coded, I think, you know, Georgetown, whatever that was, you know, back in the day, they scared people.
Now,
They did scare people.
Catch, do you mean he wasn't allowed to just wear Georgetown gear, or he wasn't allowed to wear a T-shirt under his jersey when he played basketball?
He wasn't able to rep Georgetown. Like back in the day, we wore things like starter jackets and stuff like that. And like Georgetown was off the map as far as like what he was allowed to wear.
Georgetown scared white people. Just say it. Just like Miami did. That bullshit Catholics versus convicts. What a bunch of bullshit that was. There were more convicts in the Catholic Church than there ever was at the University of Miami. Shit. Get the fudge out of here. You kidding me? I mean, that just shows you how stupid racism and prejudice can be right there. They were scared of John Thompson because he spoke his mind. But those coaches, they were iconic coaches, like in every program in the Big East in terms of basketball. So that was always fun. I remember my first trip to New York, and then I'll answer your question. My first trip to New York, I went up there after my senior year in Texas to visit an agent, and I stayed in the same hotel with the Georgetown Hoya. And this is when Alonzo Mourning and who was the other big center they had? It was Dalton.
It was Mutombo and him together, wasn't it?
Was Mutombo? I think Mutombo was with him. So those guys were at the same hotel, and the Big East tournament was going on at MSG. So that was cool as hell way back then. But to answer your question, how do you replicate this? First of all, you got to give credit to Cignetti, man. He and his staff, they're great at identifying talent. I think we discussed last week the fact that they don't give a damn about metrics. They care about production. What are you doing? And are you producing at your position? And you could be a no star or 1 star or 2 star, but are you producing? And they find those guys and they continue to develop those guys. He's had the same coordinators offensively and defensively at every step of the way. So they know what he wants. They understand what he wants, and he takes care of his football team. They're not out there 2-3 hours of practice. It's an hour and a half at most. Get in, get out. You got your work done. Let's go. Same with the coaches. Go home, be with your family. So he's got a formula that he has perfected, and it's going to be hard to replicate. But it's all about identifying talent. We give kudos to Texas Tech, what they were able to do in the portal a season ago and amass one heck of a defensive football team. So same with Cignetti. And yeah, others are going to try to copy and replicate that, but you got to evaluate and make sure you find the right guys for your system, and you also have to continue to develop them. So I think it's going to be difficult to be that guy. But yeah, others will come about. I mean, you look at what Miami's been able to do. I didn't expect them to be sitting here playing for a natty come Monday night, considering the loss to Louisville and of course up in Dallas versus SMU. But they righted the ship and they got here. There's talent everywhere. How do you coach up that talent? Does everyone buy in, and do they perform and execute when asked to do so? And lastly, I'll just say when he went and got Mendoza, I saw one. I watched one piece of film of Mendoza 2 seasons ago, and that was the Miami game. And Miami somehow won that game, Cam Ward and those guys on the road. And I said, okay, this Mendoza kid can play. And then later on in the offseason, once it was announced he was transferring to Indiana, all right, they have elevated that position because the Rourke kid, he couldn't get it done, especially at Ohio State and versus Notre Dame in the playoffs. But they had everything else. And everything else returned. So, this guy has an eye for talent, and he knows how to develop those guys that join the mix. And so Josh Hoover now is heading there. Did I get that right, Josh Hoover? I get him and Morris mixed up for some reason, but it's Hoover from TCU. Yeah. So that offense shouldn't skip a beat, and I expect them to be back in the hunt next season.
Brian, I'm glad you mentioned the whole thing about let the players have a little day at the end and let the coaches have it. I hadn't really heard that at the college level. I always think of Tony Dungy when I hear that, where it's like, yeah, the coach just tells his coaches to go have a life. We're going to do our work, but we're going to work smarter and not harder. I kind of like that. Last one from me, Brian. We've been talking portal, obviously. It's down to the O-line discussion for Texas. We're talking about this Jordan Seaton cat that's coming out of Colorado into the portal. That's officially happened. Do you have any portal insight for the people and some in the chat.
You're trying to get cussed out, Chad, aren't you?
And hang on. And the people in the chat want to know, are you willing to take any of these portal guys to the strip club if it will help?
Dude, last question first. Since I gave up drinking, I have abstained from that place of ill repute or any places of ill repute. So apparently there was a correlation between my drinking and certain places I visited. I wasn't aware. Yeah. See, it wasn't me. It was the alcohol. It was the alcohol. I shouldn't be in here, but the alcohol dragged me in here. So 4.5 years, going on 5 years. Hey, I've been clean as a whistle, baby, in that department. So hell no, I ain't taking them there. I'll take them to get some barbecue, take them to Whataburger. I take them. I got introduced by my good childhood friend from Lubbock, Kelly. Last night he introduced me to Chiso's Grill out here in Lakeway. It's damn good Mexican food, man. It's phenomenal. I'll take them to my other new spot that our golf coach's son, Marshall, my other buddy, introduced me to, Ling Wu. You guys been to Ling Wu?
No, haven't been.
Up of Southwest Parkway. Oh,
okay.
Matter of fact, I might go back today. It was that damn good. So no. And as far as this offensive lineman, I know nothing about him in Colorado, but I'm glad they're now addressing that. The damn portal closes when? Doesn't it close today or tomorrow? Yeah. So here's what I'll say, because everyone's pulling their hair out, and all my friends, and I wanted to borrow that line from Pulp Fiction. Go over there and chill them motherfuckers out. The wolf will be there directly. And that's exactly what happened this past weekend. The wolf showed up, baby, and you got Coleman, and you got your running backs, and now you got to get this offensive line, get 1 or 2 pieces there. So I wasn't sitting here when guys were jumping into the portal from the roster worried about where we would go until we got to this point. And as I suspected, we would be all right, and it looks like they will. But yeah, if you get a couple more pieces on the O-line, that was the point of contention this season. It's like, why didn't they pluck a couple guys out of the portal for this offensive line? So hopefully they can satisfy those cravings of 1 or 2 guys in the portal. And I think it will be a damn good portal season. Did I see where their haul was rated number 1 as far as transfers? Texas? Yeah, cool. Yep. Sweet. See, everybody's worried for nothing.
There it is.
The wolf showed up, baby.
Catch, you got anything else for Brian?
Did we get a score prediction for the game for Monday?
Oh no, he didn't say a score. What kind of game are you thinking, Brian?
Oh wow. Huh.
I got like
expecting that. Go ahead.
No, I'll say I got like a 23-16. I think Indiana's gonna have a fight on their hands.
I didn't expect them to just blow Oregon out. I thought they beat Oregon for a second time, but post half 100, as Coach Swisser would say. I didn't see that one coming. I'm going to say 35-20.
Oh, okay.
35. What's the line? Is it still 15?
Oh, God. Is it that much?
It was once both games, semifinals were over. Right? Was it like 15? Mendoza's number?
I thought it was like 8.5 or something like that.
Hang on.
Maybe it is now.
Right here. 8.5. Catch is right. 8.5. Indiana 8.5. So you said
like, trust me, if it were that big, it'd be the only story in this game would be everybody talking about how disrespected Miami is at that large of a number.
Well, they had all those guys go down in the secondary, so their health is going to be tested. Especially,
I think Indiana's going to put a whooping on them, so I think the number should be higher.
Yeah, just
Miami. Go ahead,
hey, y'all take it from me, all and all the other Aggies and all the Buckeye fans. Just don't overlook Miami. Whatever you do, don't look past those Hurricanes.
They have some speed, especially on that defensive side of the ball, and they got that Malachi Tony kid. Man, he can give you headaches, but this is such a well-oiled machine, and I know we've worn that cliche out, but that's the truth about Indiana. Everybody fits where they're supposed to fit. They cover your butt up. They don't bust coverages. So I'm going to go with 35-20.
There you go.
Yeah, you know what the difference between the Aggies and the Hurricanes was this season, right?
What's that?
Well, coaching on offense shitty quarterback play, and just kind of like limp dick in general on offense.
Damn.
It sounded like he had it sounded like he was setting up a one-liner, didn't it? Like
Then he went all pornographic on us.
He really did.
I was ready for
that's for whoever's listening to Brian out in Lakeway or whatever's happening.
Man,
that's what man said. I will see him in church, not this weekend, but next week. He gonna like, I heard you. I was like, they brought me down again.
Hey,
I need some new friends.
And from what we heard today, it will not be a Catholic church. One thing we know, though, is that if you go to the co-op, you can get this stuff. And Brian will definitely not be wearing this stuff to a Catholic church either. Real Snow Milk at universitycoop.com, or go to the Drag and check out the legendary co-op yourself. Tell him you saw it here on Orange Bloods Live and you want some of the stuff that Brian loves to wear. All right, Brian, you big controversy starter. We appreciate you as always. You want to come back to next week and talk some football, or do I have to leave you alone now?
Next Thursday. Yeah, it's my birthday. Let's do it.
Oh, wow.
See, there you go. Birthday celebration next week with
Brian
Brian
Jones. I always feel bad about that, though. He's saying yes, Chad, but that feels like a no. Let that man enjoy his birthday.
I'll be flying back from Tyler next week. Wednesday night, I host the Earl Campbell Award. Nice. This goes to the top offensive player with ties to Texas. The winner this year is Haynes King. And we do a Legends Award, Joe Green. How about that? So I get to interview Haynes King and Joe Green. And then I'll fly back Thursday morning. So I should be back in time to jump on with you knuckleheads.
Oh, see, if you're going to hang with Haynes King and Joe Green, we got to have you on to talk about that. Come on now.
Yeah, of course, former Aggie, of course, and they just couldn't figure out how to utilize his skills. Georgia Tech sure did. Man,
what did I say? Bad offensive coaching.
Oh, there it is.
What else did you say? What else did you say?
Kind of a limp dick offense. Like some things change and some things always stay the same. They got to stop drinking that whiskey. It's affecting performance.
They got a pill for that, okay?
They have not been taking the pill. They've not. They're just walking around wondering why they've been drinking all night and can't get anything to go up.
Sometimes the quarterback.
You know what? He says, ever since I stopped going to the Yellow Rose.
All right, Brian, we'll talk to you next week, man. Give it to him.
Hook him.
There it is. There he is. The swearer himself, Brian Jones. All right, we had some super chats we needed to get through, so let's go to this. Back to the offensive line discussion catch. $5 from Michael. Feels like Seton or bust right now, and that's a bad feeling. What's plan C and D? You've talked about Siani. So if they don't get Seton, but they get Siani, let's start there. What would that feel like to you?
I mean, I think they need at least two more pieces. So 2 more pieces, and they can probably take a guy like Sikorsky and make him their swing guy. He's a guy that could not be counted on to have to start. We don't know yet that he's definitely at that level, but he has started. You could count on him being your 3rd tackle or your 4th tackle, depending on what some of the other guys in the program, Jaden Chapman, we are at a point with a couple of these guys for Texas where now is when we should start. We'll find out. Like it's Texas has had these needs along the offensive line that have forced us to see Texas make evaluations and decisions on guys before they should have probably been asked to contribute. Jaden Chapman next year will be a redshirt junior. He was a guy that they clearly like at tackle. Not enough that like he's taking Trevor Goosby's job, but I think he's a guy that next year, of all the guys in the program internally, he may be the guy that I think has a chance to be maybe the Connor Robertson of next year, and the guy that finally did stay around long enough and did develop long enough that as they got into their early 20s, it's just a different proposition than when they're 18 or 19 or even 20. So I'm optimistic about that. I think we'll probably get to a place where Texas looks better on the offensive line than they did a year ago. But now, if and when they get there, because, Michael, I don't think it's as desperate as It does today. They're going to get their guys. They are. Now, who are the guys? We'll see. Seton, if they're able to pull that off, I mean, we're already talking about the swindle of this class and how it will be the storyline of, I think, the entire college football offseason. If they pull Seton as well, it literally will be, I think, a talking point Monday night for the national championship game. They will start to emerge as a talking point when the morning after the national championship game, they're on ESPN and they're doing the early look ahead to 2026. There's now a Texas conversation. Yeah. It's kind of just fun to have.
Catch, that's a great little point. Think about this. What if Texas could, if they're going to get Seton, have him hold it until Monday, and it literally hits the crawl all night during the game, all night long. Breaking news: Texas gets Seton.
I mean, I think I'm curious what kind of timeline he can get this settled on. Can he get into school this semester or not? One of the only things I'm somewhat concerned about is that it is January 15th, and we do next week start to hit some deadlines for how late a guy can enroll and still be a student this semester. It's not the worst thing in the world if some of these guys were forced to come in this summer. I mean, Kelvin Banks was a summer arrival, and it didn't hurt him any. But I think we have, when we look at Silas Bolden from 2 years ago, I think he really paid the price of letting Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden. Not that those two guys weren't better than him anyway, but those two guys got 6-month head starts on him. By the time he finally caught his groove, it was the middle of October, November. And then you were just counting down, well, he's only got 4 or 5 games left. So I think that best case scenario is that everybody that they would have an interest in can get wrapped up in the next 48 to 72 hours so that they can get these guys on campus for the spring, if at all possible, which I haven't been told we're at a point where there's, a point of no return, but we're creeping up on that. This can't go on forever, or these will be solutions for the summer and not in the spring.
Catch, you said there's a visit coming with Seton, you think? Is it the first visit? Mike wants to know. I thought it was a good general question here. First visit, will Texas get it or somebody else?
Maybe.
Yeah.
There was some confusion. So here's the thing. Seton just hit the portal an hour ago.
Yeah.
Ish. A little bit more.
It had been talked about, but wasn't official till today.
He hasn't been able to. So his people have been able to have vague conversations with vague people. But he hasn't had a chance until his name hit the portal. There's no direct communication with Seton that's been allowed. So what we're probably watching right now is his immediate visit schedule being determined in real time right now. He's been off for an hour and a half. He's been in the portal. Now those conversations can take place. If Texas wanted to have him in for an official visit today, they couldn't set up the official visit until the kid's actually in the portal. There is still, it is a little bit, we did do this with Isaac Brown. We did. We now know Isaac Brown is a little bit of a verb.
Yeah.
In a couple of different ways. He's a verb for what happens when a school holds a kid hostage and refuses to let his name into the portal and then keeps him. That's called pulling an Isaac Brown. I'm not even mad at Louisville that they pulled it off. In the end, it proved to be fantastic strategy. But Texas couldn't talk directly to Isaac Brown then. They never got to talk directly to Isaac Brown. They never got to talk directly to Jaden Ball. It never reached those limits. So as Seton is now officially in the portal, my guess is there's a flood of conversations, no pun intended, taking place right now. And that really was no pun intended. And because they may not even let Kyle Flood on the call. And
I was going to say, are you sure about that?
They may be like, Kyle, sit down. Play with your toy. Play with your things. Like I do with my kids when we're on somewhere. You got your iPad. Use your iPad.
Play with your things. Watch some film. Watch film.
So I think there's a good chance that Texas will have him on campus tomorrow. Is that the first visit or the second visit? I'm not sure. He's going to shotgun visit day. It's not going to be 2-day visits. It's going to be in and out. And
he's going to speed date the hell out of this thing.
He is. And we may see even a couple of visits in one day. Like there's a lot that I think he's going to try to do. I don't know if Texas gets the first visit. I would say circle Friday though. There are whispers in the air that that's when a visit could take place, but I never have anything clarified to me in terms of the order of the visits that he'll take. And I think we could learn that even before we sign off on the air in this show.
Yeah.
That is one of the next things that's going to happen. And it's what I'm waiting to see from the Wake Forest kid too, right? There's a do not disturb. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Who's he going to go see this weekend that he has a do not disturb sign on his portal entry?
Yeah, something set up.
Yeah. Simple as that.
All right, Catch. Michael is no dummy. $5 super chat. He watched that Ohio State game last year. Even if you get Seton, move Baker inside. Who runs left guard? Sikorsky? How are we feeling about that? Michael, good question.
Stay tuned. I keep saying it. My anticipation is with or without Seton, Texas is anticipating that they will conclude this offensive line class with a starting caliber tackle and guard.
All right.
The guard, I don't think is surfaced yet. I think here's what I would say. I think Texas ends up with one of the two tackles we've been talking about today. So in a world where that happens, now what we're really talking about is who plays left guard. And I think just, again, sit tight. Yep. And I will say, if you're wondering, well, Catch, you say that, what evidence is there that these guys behind the scenes actually know what they're doing? All I can tell you is I was not shocked by the Wake Forest kid hitting the portal. So pretty obscure and random, and yet that wasn't one that caught me off guard, and that I think in general should be an indication that Texas has got a real good finger on the pulse of what's happened. You don't think anybody with any offensive lineman with a pulse who has an agent hasn't told Texas, hey, I don't know what got into those Michigan guys or the Wisconsin guy.
Yeah,
but if you're not here throwing around $1.6 million,
I got a bag packed right now.
He could be on the eye. He could be on the red eye. He literally will hitchhike until he gets to a place where he can hop on a plane.
Yeah, I hear Austin's great, and Brian Jones just gave me 5 places to go eat. Let's go. Let's do it. Catch, I want to see what you think of this one. $5 from Sailor Joe. Sark, in my opinion, has never let a weak point ever stay the weak point. Even if we don't land Seton, we're going to land an offensive line that is better than last year. You agree?
Yeah.
Because you've talked about Sark's ability to do just that, right? Figure out what may be going on and address the thing.
I just don't think we've seen the offensive line moves that are ultimately going to define what's being done on the offensive line. So it leads to a situation where in real time we're trying to scorecard this. Nobody really wants to put it incomplete on it, and nobody wants to completely believe either. In 2 days, I will wake up from a non-worry coma, a non-concern coma, and woo-saw the answers to I get the concern. And if they thought they were going to get the Michigan guys. This is not a world where everything that they believe is going to occur or everything that they think is going to occur or promise to occur, like there have been. And so there still could be, but I think there's an anticipation that, yes, Sailor Joe, that they'll come out of this and they'll be more elevated than they were a year ago. And, I think if they were to get the kid from Wake Forest and you're talking about spinning Brandon Baker down, you've got Robertson coming back in the interior. If you fix that left guard spot with a guy, I don't know, let's say he's got some all-conference chops. Now all of a sudden we're talking about an offensive line that would be best left tackle in America, capable right tackle. To what degree? I don't know that we completely know. Like, I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on the Wake Forest guy, but he was a good player this year. But then inside, I think a trio of Baker, Robertson, who you would think he doesn't even have to make light years of progress. Just be a little bit better than you were this year, and that guy's going to be a pretty good center. And then add a potential all-conference caliber player at guard. And I think that looks a lot better and feels a lot better than what they went into with last season. And then that would also include you have Sikorsky, you have Chapman, you have potentially a couple of other depth pieces that come in that the kid from Jackson State. If I was telling you that that guy was going to be a starting offensive lineman, you might crap your pants if you're a Texas fan and that, oh my God, this season's hanging in the balance of a guy that wasn't very good at Jackson State last year. Or, you know what, we're going to develop that guy. He gives us some depth. He can play multiple positions. He has played and started before, even if not at a high level, building blocks to work with, which I would point out that I think one of the things that got Texas in real trouble last year, not enough guys that had even building blocks to work with. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of guys that you looked at and went, has he played at all? No, not really. Has he played well and just smidges of action that we've seen him in? No, not really. Is it early for him to be probably being asked to play? Kind of. Was he ever recruited where we all thought he would be a star anyway? Nope. Kind of a ride with an expectation that he might work 25% of the time. There was just a lot of that. This year, I think we could be looking at a world where all 5 starters return, have starting experience from a year ago, productive starting experience from a year ago. And I think that in itself would be an upgrade over what Texas went into last season, where because of the chances they took, even in October of this season, they still didn't know who their best 5 was. They thought putting Cole Hudson and Connor Robertson on the field together would prove to be the answer, but then Hudson was hurt. They kind of had to find out that Connor Robertson could even play in real time. That was just like, we'll discover that because Hudson got hurt. So some of these things just came together in ways or didn't pretty organically and not anything that was within their control. Whereas this feels like potentially, if they can close the deal, controlled improvement, which is what Texas fans want.
Google Scholar, we're working our way back to that NFL super chat, I promise. One other one on Texas, then we'll get to you. Brady, $4.99. How much money are we paying Jonah Williams to play baseball? Should cut him and use his money for the O-line. Necessary? I didn't figure you'd
over Jonah Williams.
Yeah, I didn't figure you'd enjoy that idea.
I just haven't heard anybody who's beaten down Jonah Williams' door asking him to give anything back. They know what they got in Jonah Williams. They need him to stay healthy. They knew he was a unique talent. He is. And, you know, we're going to learn a lot more about who Jonah Williams is in 2026. If he's a football player, he's going to take off this year. If he's not, then he's going to play baseball. And I think this thing will work its way out speaking of organically, I think the Jonah Williams thing will just work its way out. And I will say this, if he can't stay healthy, there's also that actually might be scary both ways, but maybe that's the thing that's telling us that maybe he should play baseball. But then you can still play baseball and be a guy that's got check marks or little skull things next to you in terms of health. He's got to stay healthy. And so I think more than focusing on one sport, just getting through everything he's doing with a clean bill of health, I think would be a success during the spring.
All right, let's finish up with Google Scholar here with an NFL question. $4.99. Not many people appreciate a defense more than y'all. So can we have a Texans convo at some point? Could McDaniel land in Houston next year as OC? It's an interesting idea.
No.
Cash, what do you think of Houston's chances to knock off New England?
Google Scholar, I don't know that this shapes into a Texans conversation other than I'm about to make a point that includes them. It's the first time I can remember, maybe ever in my entire lifetime as an NFL fan, that there are 8 teams left in the playoffs. And I don't know, man, you can talk me into all all 8 of them like being good enough that they could beat the other 7 teams. So that's kind of where I am with the Texans. I don't know what I think about them against the Patriots. Every time I think I don't know. I still don't even know what I think about the Patriots. I feel like I say that about every team in the league right now. I don't know quite what I think of them, but the Texans are playing as good a football right now as anybody, and they play good enough defensive football that they got a chance in every game they play. I don't know that Stroud is going to be ready for this moment, but the rest of that team seems like maybe they are.
Yeah, and is Drake May ready for this moment on the other side? Is he ready to face that defense in a playoff game? I don't know.
I'm telling you, I feel that way about everybody. It's just, every team that's available that's left, I can see them winning the Super Bowl. It just feels like a year. Maybe it's like when the Packers won the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, where they were the 6th seed. And it's just about the serendipitousness of the year that there's no Mahomes this year. Yeah. Right. So the Chiefs, there's just a couple of the big, bad, tried and trues are out of the way. Right. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think.
Think of the quarterback list for a second. Stafford's the only one in the ring club. The other 2 ring guys just got beat. He's the only guy who's got a ring. So think to yourself, those other 7 quarterbacks, one of them might be about to win his first Super Bowl. That's crazy. Or Stafford gets his second.
And when you say the names of the quarterbacks out loud, let's do it real quick, okay?
Sure.
Josh
Allen, who has not been to a Super Bowl yet, but he's been in big playoff games.
He's the guy with the most pressure.
Yes. No doubt.
You know what I mean? Like, when you look at what's out there, he's the best quarterback in the field.
And he faces Bo Nix, who could get his ring. You mentioned Stroud. We mentioned Stroud in May. Then you've got Stafford taking on Caleb Williams. What if he gets rolling? And good Lord, San Francisco, Purdy's been there but lost. So he's trying to get back. And good Lord, Sam Darnold might be the best quarterback over the last 2 years that nobody talks about. He's got like 30 wins over the last.
What I'm saying. I don't know what to do with these NFL playoffs, man. I do not know what to do.
It is too good. I know what to do. We watch them. And as far Google Scholar as McDaniel, Catch, I love this idea. Somebody getting McDaniel as an OC. Let him go back to
McDaniel's going to be a head coach somewhere.
Man.
Somebody's going to hire Mike McDaniel.
I
don't know that he deserves it, but I don't think that guy's taking a coordinator job. Like, I just think that guy will take a coordinator job when he can't get a head coaching job.
Yeah.
He's up for like a half dozen jobs right now. I just don't think that it's going to end with him taking a coordinator. That's beneath him.
Okay, how about this? Google Scholar, if Catch is right, if Catch is right, what about Kingsbury in Houston? What if Kingsbury wants to just be a badass OC and he doesn't want to deal with the hassle of head coaches and maybe nobody's calling? What about Kingsbury running that offense?
What about Colin Klein? His Aggies offense this year was sexy.
Man, back to the Aggies off. I would not go that way.
I don't know what's happened to me, Chad.
I don't either. That is.
He's not even there anymore.
You know how many Aggies are going to get pissed if K-State's running 4-5 live with a crazy dynamic offense next year?
Oh, that actually would be funny if K-State comes out of the box, out of the gate next year, and they're just running oop-de-oops and all kinds of crazy stuff on offense.
That would be nuts. All right, that cleans off the super chat. So before we get out of here, let's get a big toast to all of you for jumping in today. First off, with some martinis and the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. If you love your Deep Eddy Vodka and you want to go out there to Dripping Springs and have it, this is a way to do it. Make sure to bring the martini glasses or the mason jars or both back for your discounted refills if you like. Get some of that great barbecue they've got out there, and check them out Wednesdays through Sundays, indoor and outdoor seating. Catch some of this warmer weather we've had and get outside, or if it gets a little chilly, they got great indoor seating as well. Go have a tasting. You will enjoy it. Now, if you love your Deep Eddy Vodka, but you're staying at home to watch NFL playoffs, or maybe you're into whiskey or beer or other finer things, finer foods, Lisa and the crew are going to rhyme at you from Specs.
Shop Specs. 60 years in the Lone Star State. A one-stop shop so you're never late. Price is so low that you want to know
Which way to Specs?
Come on, let's go.
Specs, fine spirits and finer foods. World-class service, that's all about you. Shop Specs.
It's how we do. A huge selection since 62.
Shop Specs.
Low priced, amazing. Here's to you.
Shop.
Cheers to savings.
That's a great beer that got featured in that little spot too. If you don't know anything about beer, you just don't know what to do. Fireman's 4, always a good idea. The folks at Real Ale do a really good job.
Can I just give you one totally random ass thought?
Of course.
Before we
I love a
end this
random
week.
ass.
Have you seen the new Running Man movie?
I did. We went and saw it in the theater.
Thoughts?
I enjoyed it. Had a good time. You can't expect a ton from a movie like that, but I dig Powell. I think he's a good young leading man. I enjoyed it.
I loathed it.
Did
Oh,
you?
I thought it was so bad.
Okay.
From the moment he's in the car with the woman all the way through the rest of the movie. It's like, what are y'all making Glenn Powell do? It's been a while since I've watched a movie, and as soon as it was over with, resented it immediately.
Wow.
By the way, Care Bear, what's up, Kieran?
Sorry to hear that.
Kieran.
Whoa! That's who that was? I saw the 99. I hadn't looked at the name yet.
That's because Kieran's doing big time podcasting these days. He's got extra money to spend from
must be
all of
nice.
the success that he's having.
You go, Kieran.
Care Bear.
Hang on. $100. Let me see if I can do this. $99.99 from Care Bear Kieran. Give me a damn left guard. Damn it.
God, you had an aneurysm, it felt like, on that. Kieran, here's what I would say. Sit tight. If you watched Game of Thrones, there was a moment where, like, they kept on when the wildlings were going to the wall, spoiler alert, and it was like, how will we know when the attack is on? And it was like, oh, you'll know. We're going to start the biggest fire. Anybody's okay, fine. You're going to start a fire. We'll know. I think when it happens, you'll know. You'll be like, I'm just chilling. I'm just hanging out. Wait a minute. What just happened?
Yeah.
Somebody just went into the portal with a do not disturb sign, and oh, he's good, and he plays guard, and then I think your weekend will be good.
The old line from so many different movies, right? I'll give you the signal. How will I know? Trust me. You'll know when you see the signal.
I feel like there's a lot of people who are like, you know what we don't have? If the thing you don't think Texas has shows up in the portal the next 24 hours, there are no accidents in life.
One last one here from ATX Bates. From $99.99 to $199. Buy or sell the 26 O-line will be better than the 24 O-line.
You know what, ATX? Ask me that Monday.
Yeah.
Don't ask me that today, because I don't really know what to do with Seton and all of that. There's a world where the answer is yes, but there's also a world where the answer is not a yes. I need to see a little more than speculative plans, but we'll revisit that. Trust me, ATX Bates, we will revisit that.
Yes. Hey, thank you for all those super chats, whether they are $199s or $99.99. Y'all know which one we prefer.
You can't get over $100 unless you have both the $99.99 and the $1.99.99.
That's exactly right. Put them together. I mean, you almost got $105. Yeah, you almost do. All right, Catch. Anything else you want to hit today?
Nope.
Thank you all for liking and subscribing and getting those notifications. I believe it's 211,000 plus is the number I saw this morning. Thank you guys for your support. We will be back tomorrow for a Friday show, and maybe Texas will have added an offensive lineman or two by then. Will Jordan Seton have visited by then? Come on back for all the latest. And check out that QR code up in the upper left corner over there by Catch to get signed up for orangebloods.com. The very latest information We're talking to you on a Thursday. It's War Room night. Make this your first War Room. If you've never been in, you'll be hooked for good. Y'all